Hi, good afternoon. This is Ashley Castillo with another book review, and today I will be talking about Unnatural Selection, choosing boys over girls and the consequences of a world full of men. So this book is a book written by Mara Havistendal. I'm not sure if I pronounced her name right. And if I didn't, I'm sorry. But this was a very, very interesting book that talked about a topic that I personally didn't have a lot of knowledge on because I never saw this occurring. This this book talked about um con- um think talked about family, especially in China and in Asian countries, choosing the sex of their baby and killing, and for the most part, killing off the girls in the family. So, or choosing a girl. So, in China, there is the one rule child policy imposed, and this one rule child policy only allows Chinese families to only have one child. So most families want to have a boy because the boy is the one who produces the money, and can once they grow up they can pay the parents back and such. So people want to have kids instead of boys, and if they don't have a boy, they'd rather kill off their kid because they only have one chance to have a kid. They only have the possibility of only having one kid, and they want that kid to be a boy because a boy can start working at a younger age, they can start making money, and they can start supporting the family. So, um, so like I said, they want to have, um, they want that child. So, um, so because so many people want a male boy, and because they have been having abortions of little girls, they have been giving them away, or they just kill them once they're born. A lot of people have um there in recent years there has been a surplus of men. So that means that we have, as humans, naturally in unbalanced the supply of men and women on earth, causing real reproduction problems for the future. So naturally, we are born with a racial naturally there is a ratio that for every 105 females there is 100 females, but we have disrupted this so much that the the ratio isn't looking like this anymore. And when these kids are growing up, these adults are not finding wives to marry. They're not, and there's no way for them to reproduce. In China, it is most people who get married are because they have money and they can support their wife. And it is a real luxury to get married because they just there's not enough women, and if you find a woman then everybody wants her. Because of that, there's also a lot of human trafficking. So a lot of people, I'm so sorry. A lot of people sell their daughters from other countries that do have women. They sell their daughters to people in China who do not have enough women, and and so on. But it's just so sad how, for the most part, in the case that Mara was talking about in this book, Unnatural Selection, they are trying to get rid of the girls, but it is the girls who are the most caring, the caregivers when adults grow up. It's the girls. The men only produce money, they don't produce care, at least in China. And if they have such a big problem with having a woman, why don't they teach? Because they can't work as much, because they don't have the possibilities to succeed as much as a man, then why don't they teach society to appreciate those women instead of killing them off? That is something very, very serious that I think um, that's why we are not progressing, because we don't want any new people to be on top. We want the same people to rule, and we don't want to accept that somebody else is capable of doing it if only we educate them and we educate everybody else that that is okay. So it's really sad that society as a whole decides it's better to kill them off than to teach them to survive. That's um it could be, you could, I'm considering it like a microcosm of a genocide, of a, like, it definitely is one, just because it's not necessarily legal, but it's not legal to do it according to the sex, but the fact that they're doing it um regardless, I feel like it's just devastating that they're doing it according to the sex instead of educating the girl and empowering her to go out and be successful and be out there getting a competitive job that puts her in a competitive position for with males, because she can do as much or even more than a male can do. And no, and nobody is more and nobody is less. And it's just sad that they'd rather kill off a whole species of females than to teach them and to make them progress into society. So I thought that that was really, really interesting. So when it comes to the purchasing of wives, a lot of people in other countries that do not have a shortage in women sell their women to China for money. In other countries, there is a shortage of men, not women. So other countries, they started to make this a business. So they began to have women so they can sell and make money off of. But according to their culture, not all of these countries are like that, and they don't want to have women because then whenever they get married, they need to pay for their weddings, and people can't afford that. And that is a really, really big, serious issue because it ties into their culture. So it's like, oh, they should just stop doing that. But whenever you grow up thinking that you should do something, I mentioned this in my the Big Short book review. Whenever you grow up thinking that you should do things a certain way, it is very difficult to change your ways and your thoughts when you've been thinking like this your whole entire life. So it is very difficult to stop doing something that relates to your culture because those are your beliefs. So it's not like we can say that, oh, the culture, needs to the parents need to stop paying for the girl's wedding, and that will solve that problem of unnatural selection in certain countries that don't want girls. So it's so much more deeper than that, and it just takes a really long time of development for people to appreciate women and to appreciate that we can do just as much and we could go out there and be just as competitive as a male, and that we can compete with male, and that we are capable of competing with male. So, Unnatural Selection was a very, very interesting book that talked about all of this, about the one child policy, about how women aren't wanted, and it's just so so sad that this is happening in the 21st century. And this is mostly happening in Asian countries, but we should become aware of it because it is the 21st century. And I feel like I would consider Asian countries, especially like China and stuff, pretty developed, but there's still a lot to improve. And I hope that people start to realize the value of each individual human being, regardless of race, color, sex, because that's really what it is. Um, this just proves to anybody that's like, oh, like men and women have it the same. This just proves that no, men and women do not have it the same, and there's obviously a higher preference for men, even when a woman could be more capable. But it's just, this is just how society works. And when you understand this book, you begin to understand that this works in real life society. Like, even if it's not this serious, women just don't succeed. Women just don't succeed as much as men because they are stopped from succeeding. They are cut off from succeeding. They are killed off before they can even go out there to compete. So it's very interesting that this is all occurring in this day and age, and that people still think that a person is less than another person. Um, so I hope you enjoyed my little book review, my thoughts on Unnatural Selection and the book, which I thought was very interesting. And have a good day.